Hey guys, welcome to episode 12 of the Personal Project Podcast. This is a personal development podcast where I, katyarrington, discuss my personal project, me. I am a life coach and an artist, and I struggled with anxiety, depression, insecurities, self-loathing, procrastination, and so much more. And this podcast is my weekly update on what I'm doing to create a better life for myself. So I'm really excited to share with you some of the lessons from a recent controversy. So if you guys have been following me in the last week and seeing what's been happening, you know what this is about. But first, I want to tell you that I've turned 27. Over the weekend, I did a lot of celebrating with friends who happened to be in town during the summer. High school friends that I haven't seen in years, so it was really, really amazing to see them. And it's really interesting to see them again since I feel like I've made such a huge amount of changes this year. And it's been really good, like really, really good. But so I'm 27, and this has definitely been the best birthday ever. It's not like I had a big party or anything like that, but I was looking so forward to becoming 27. Yeah, it's really interesting. In the recent years, I've been really loving getting older. I really, really enjoy it. And for, I think most people, it's the opposite, right? Like, we don't want to get older, and we kind of joke about not really knowing our age, or and then we also don't really make a big deal out of it as much as time goes by. Like, we kind of just say like, oh, we're adults now, we're not really going to care about our birthdays. Well, I already know for sure for me, next year I'm going to I'm going to make it a big deal. I'm going to go and create a big party and invite everyone, and it's going to be big. I just know it. This year, with so many things happening, traveling a lot, like I just got back to Japan, then I went to Jakarta to visit friends, and then next week, I'm going to Texas, oh my God, to do the life coaching training, and I cannot handle how excited I am for that. It's going to be official, and it just feels like after that training, it's like my life is officially over. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like a completely new door is going to open once that is over, and I just cannot freaking wait for it. Anyway, so, I was really looking forward to being older, and for those of you who are not enjoying being older, I just want to say, and I would just want to offer to you this thought that there are a lot of people that didn't make it to your age, whatever age you are. So I'm 27, and so I'm very lucky, actually. There's a lot of people who never made it to 27, and so I made it, and I'm just eternally, eternally grateful to be here, and I really can't wait to make a big deal out of it next year because, I love getting older so much. Okay, guys, so like I said, I'm going to be talking about lessons from a recent controversy. And that's talking about the videos that I made last week in relation to love and Trump. Okay, let's get started. So the first lesson that I learned is that being challenged on a belief that I have is scary. It's really, really scary. And I completely understand why I have been socially anxious this whole time. And I understand why a lot of us don't speak up. I completely understand why a lot of us choose to keep a lot of things to ourselves. And it's just been a very interesting and fascinating experience, especially as somebody who, like, not just didn't speak up, but was so debilitated by other people's opinions that I, created social anxiety for myself, that I I gave other people so much power, other people's opinions so much power over what I do, that I completely just didn't say anything, didn't speak up. I know that I used to speak very quietly because I was just so afraid of somebody being like, no, you're stupid, no, you're wrong, or whatever. And just trying so hard to be liked by everyone. And the idea that anyone would dislike me was terrifying. And I understand why I and so many other people in the world are. I mean, so let's look at, first of all, in extreme cases like this one, where politics is involved, which is a very, very, very sensitive subject, I realize, is the public backlash, right? So now I'm able to actually be okay with like direct insults, funnily enough. Like if somebody straight up calls me like a piece of shit or garbage or something, I'm able to see that and just be like, oh, okay, this person, is carrying their own pain, and this is their way of discharging negative emotion, and it doesn't have anything to do with me. If anything, I actually feel compassion for this person. So yeah, that's actually quite like easy to be unfazed of. But a lot of other things that are more like characteristics, like being called naive or being called stupid or being called heartless or it's implied, that stuff can be super hard to deal with. And what I find the funniest though out of all, not funny, but what's actually really interesting though is that, what we actually don't fear is what other people think. What we actually fear is what we're gonna do about it in our own minds. So what I mean by that is if we hear somebody call us stupid, what we're actually afraid of is not being called stupid. We're afraid that we're going to believe it and then we're going to hurt ourselves with it in our own minds by being like, yep, this person is right, I'm stupid, and then feel ashamed, feel humiliated. And I say that it's funny because with the hard work and determination and doing the personal development work, that stuff is actually completely in our control. What we believe and how we think about ourselves is totally, totally in our control. We are not defined by what other people say about us. So that's very interesting. And then another thing is that it's very scary to be wrong, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys know this or can agree with this because when was the last time you've had a fight with your significant other and it's all about who's right and who's wrong, and I'm going to take a guess that the significant other is not the one who's right. Am I right? And this also reminds me of when I was in 7th grade and I was in debate. We were in a debate class and we were debating about genetic modification, and I was in the group where we had to argue for it. And I had the bright idea of using Jurassic Park as my example of success because look at how cool these dinosaurs are. But that was a really, really easy win for the other team to be like, yeah, but look at what happened. And so ever since that, I was like, okay, yeah, being wrong sucks. I'm never gonna ever open my mouth ever again. And so, yeah, I mean, it makes sense, right? Like being right makes us feel really safe. Being right pretty much means that we are going to survive and be able to procreate and be able to live for a long time. And yeah, like there is, I believe, an evolutionary advantage to wanting to be right. But since we're talking about fear, I really learned the difference between fear of public opinion and fear for personal safety. So, I mean, of course it was really scary right before the video went up or right before, as I was reading comments, all that kind of stuff. And then though, I did feel like, okay, kind of pride, like a little bit proud of myself, like it's something that I really want to say, and I really believe that I was okay with the comments. And then I got an email later on in the night though, where somebody was warning me about the possible consequences in the sense that it's apparently common for politically charged or politically involved videos where the users get harassed, the users get doxxed, which I had to Google what that was. And as I started thinking about like what could happen more in terms of like physical safety, oh wow, like what a difference, the feeling of fear is really, really different inside the body. And so this is where I want to segue into the next thing that I learned, or the next lesson from a recent controversy, which is being challenged on a belief can be really, really useful. I feel like I understand fear so much better now. It feels like the other kind of fear, where it's fear of public opinion, just feels a little silly in comparison. Because when I was fearful, when I read that message and I started thinking about like all the possible things, I had to Google what docs meant, and all sorts of things happen. And pretty much I just started thinking about the Indonesian government being involved and all sorts of other crazy things. And whether that's founded or not, I thought about whether I wanted to continue feeling this way or if I wanted to change my feeling. Like, do I want to keep it and really act on it? Or do I want to be like, nope, I'm not going to change anything. Like, I'm going to keep on with this, I guess. And I decided that I didn't want to feel differently. I wanted to listen to this fear because it felt really different. It was very, very it came from a different part, and it was a very different vibration. And so I decided to listen to this fear, and I turned it into determination because I was thinking, I have so much more to say. I've just gotten started. It's just not worth the risk right now because I'm not ready. I'm not ready to get off YouTube, and I'm not ready to deal with things like personal safety issues when I am still learning the ropes or still trying to figure out how I'm going to put out my message. And so then I was thinking like, oh man, does that mean I'm this giant hypocrite? Like, I'm talking about how I think people should consider unconditional love, but here I am deciding that I want to feel the fear, and then I want to act out of determination. But I'm not feeling love right now, and I didn't want to feel love at the time. And so then that's when I really understood that love is an emotion, but unconditional love is a decision. It's a commitment. So no, it doesn't mean feeling love every single moment of the day, because a lot of other emotions have their uses. But it's all about making a decision ahead of time. So it's kind of like my commitment to never redoing any work. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be stuck in perfectionistic limbo. It's not even like a thought. It's just, I'm never going to redo work. It's also kind of like how a pregnant woman decides ahead of time that she's going to stop drinking and she's not going to smoke at all during her pregnancy. Again, it's not even a negotiation. She's never like, I wonder if I do want to smoke, or I wonder if I could just have one beer. Like, it's not even a thought. It's just a clear commitment. And that is what I believe unconditional love is as well. And so when I decide that, when I commit to unconditional love, it allows me to feel love so much more often. So as an example is that, like, if let's say I don't like somebody, I meet somebody and I'm not actually having that good of a time with them, living by that principle, I'm not quick to go down these really dark paths in my head about this person, which ultimately hurts myself. And so I still very much believe in it. So being challenged on a belief can be so useful because it pushes me to learn more about the topic that I'm even talking about. I've been reading up on Gandhi, like his work, and as well as all his peace protests, and just, the way he's lived his life and how he's ignited change all through love. I'm just reading articles in Wikipedia's right now, but I'm so excited to read his biography, study his actual work, study his letters. And I also can't wait to look more into Jesus and how he's also ignited change and lived through love. And I also have been reading stories about about really, really unfortunate souls who've been through some really horrific things and found their way to love and been able to create some amazing things because they've cleared their hearts, essentially. They've cleared their minds. And so what's really cool is that it's pushing me to learn more about the topic I'm talking about. And now I have this reason even further to go deeper into love and to understand it even more. And it's such a, I feel so just really grateful for it that I have this opportunity to go dive in even deeper. And I feel like I see history in such a different way. Like I hated history in high school, like so much. I thought it was so boring. I didn't understand why we wanted to keep looking to the past. But the more I understand the human mind, I just see it so differently, and I can't wait to study it even more. Being challenged can be very useful because it pushes me to communicate better. I'm really trying to understand now what is the most useful way to communicate these topics. I'm like thinking about the proper video order, like what things should go first, what language to use. For example, I really need to be careful with the word should. It's a very confusing and tough word because nobody should do anything. Like, as in, people should do, see, again, should. But people are allowed to do whatever they want. I don't want that to be misunderstood. That people are allowed to behave however they want. And as a life coach, we as a life coach collectively, we would never tell a client that they should do something as in like, you should be a lawyer, you should be a nurse, you should marry this guy, you should, do this or that. Like, it's not, making life decisions for somebody is not at all in our job description. But what we should, great, but what we do want to do is give homework, I guess, or teach concepts, and in the sense like, hey, you should read this book, or hey, you should do this homework. And just like how what I mean is like, hey, you should consider adopting unconditional love if you want to learn how to love yourself unconditionally, which is what a lot of us want to learn. So no, of course you don't have to live by the unconditional love rule, but I know a lot of us in the world want to know how to love ourselves, want to know how to feel more fulfilled and feel more connected with others. Well, here's something that you should consider then, is what I mean. But I do know that the word should is very sensitive. So I need to be careful with that, and I might just try to abstain from it completely. So yeah, there's things like that. I want to think, thinking about how to communicate better. And then there's also just ideas that come up that's like, okay, how can I really prove, or how can I show that this really is a possibility? Well, first, the research that I was talking about, just showing how it's so possible and how amazing it is. And but some ideas that came up, and my favorite one that came up is I would really love for one day to have an arm, like a section of my business, to be a nonprofit, and where we create this program and we offer this program called Take Your Power Back. And it's all about providing free to very discounted life coaching to people who believe or feel or have been victims of injustices. And especially from people who are of low income, and as well as people who are very, very committed to making actual change that does not result in more violence or more hate or just overall staying in the victim mentality. And I'm super excited about that idea. I think that would be really, really cool. And I think that would be just super fulfilling and really, really fun. The third lesson from a recent controversy is I always feel amazing after I've coached myself out of the scary phase. It kind of feels like how good we feel after the gym, right? Like we feel like we just accomplished something really hard, and we also can feel our muscles have been worked and they've been strengthened. So it kind of feels like I just went to the gym for the mind. I had to really strengthen my mind muscle to find the thoughts that I believe that doesn't confirm that I'm stupid or heartless or all the other stuff that was said in the comments. And personally, I actually think I'm quite smart, and I really believe that I think about how to end suffering more than the average person by a lot. So, no, I don't believe that I'm heartless. And since finding that thought, it was like those kind of comments just doesn't faze me anymore. And this week, I'm going to be making a video all about how to coach yourself so that you can get better at this too, and that you can be free of other people's opinion of you and maybe increase your own opinion of yourself. And then the fourth thing that I learned is that humans are endlessly interesting. Thanks so much, guys, for listening. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful day, and I'm so excited to see you in the next video where I talk all about coaching and self-coaching, which is going to be so empowering and just really, really awesome. I hope you'll get so much out of it. I promised that we were going to start from the basics, so that's what that next video is going to be all about. All right, guys, thanks so much. Bye!